Okay, let's continue off. Continue on, whatever. We left off right about somewhere. Oh, look, there's where I got the picture from. I just shrunk it down. So obviously it's in there. Okay, reading data from the internet. Okay. Everyone know what the internet is? Hopefully. I realize no one has a cool device like me to use the internet, but it's okay. You can use your stuff. But the internet uses what's called the URL. If you don't know what a URL is, it stands for Uniform Resource Locator. When you type in a web address, you need HTTP. Does anyone have a clue what that means? Hypertext Transport Protocol. Very good. Okay. So we need to use the URL lib.request module. So just like we imported Turtle, stuff like that, we would need to import that. Okay. With that module, you can actually read data from the internet. Kind of handy dandy. Okay. Then once you read the data, you can use a for loop to go through it. But actually, before we do that, I want to back up just a little. Hold on. I just thought of something that you don't really need right now, but it's kind of important, and I don't remember if I covered it well enough. I'm backing up here a little. We're going to go back to this file. I'm going to go back to this first page. See, I try to make sure I kind of cover most things, but there's something I might not have touched on somewhere. Oh, come on. There it is. Okay. I don't know if I mentioned this. When reading and writing files, okay, read. Okay, just read, like the second one there. It said reads and returns a string of n characters or the entire file. So if you just use read, it's going to get the entire file. So that's what you guys need to use, is read. Okay? But if you wanted to specify a certain amount, you could say read 10. And it would read 10 characters in the file. Okay? Now that's characters, that's not lines. Then there's read line. Read line by itself returns a line. That's it. One line. Now your program you're working on is all one line. It's long, but it's all one line. But read line, with just a parenthesis like it has in the third one there, returns one line. If you put a number in there, you can return 5 lines, or 10 lines, or n number of lines. Okay? And I think that's it. Yeah, returns a list of n strings. If n is not specified, then I'm sorry, read line and read lines. My fault. Okay. So read lines will get the whole thing unless you specify a number. Okay. So read line with no S gets one line. Read line with no S with a number gets a certain number of lines. Read lines with an S, no number gets all the lines. Read lines with an S and a number gets a certain number of lines. So they kind of work the same. If you just want to get one line, you say read line. But you could also say read lines with a 1. So, I mean, you can use it either way. Okay. I don't think I covered that or mentioned that last time. That's why I figured I'd say it now. Okay. Let's go back to where we were at. Okay. So we were way down here somewhere. Reading data from the internet. Okay. With this, with the URL request, we can read line, we can read lines, we can do everything else just like normal, okay? All right, so let's look, and right here they mentioned something. They mentioned something called URL librequest.url open. What that does, see, the internet's a little different. You actually have to connect to it and then read the data from it. It's kind of like opening a file. Now we did the file open command, well that's how you open the URL. Just opening URL doesn't give you the URL. It's like I connected to it, and then you got to read the lines to get the data. All right. Okay. Let's do a sample here. Okay. I'm going to go into Mr. Idle here. Make him small again so I can get more stuff on the screen. Okay. I'm going to type in import url lib.request. Okay. just like the math class and the other stuff in Turtle, we're bringing in the functionality of the URL library request. Okay? Alright, now I'm going to type what he has here. He has page equals URL lib dot request, if I spell it right, dot URL open. Then I got to move over. Parenthesis, double quotes, could be a single quote, works just as well. HTTP :// mine's going to wrap because I got the thing small. KNUTH.luther.edu /tilde David /hello world.html. Okay. You all should have something similar to that. Now the odds are there's a typo in there somewhere. There's always a typo. But I'm going to hit enter and hope for the best. Yes! Alright. Anyone know what the heck that error means? Actually, it's not a typo. I'll give you some hold music. What do you think? What?
Does the site not up anymore?
The file's not there. Right. The site is not there. Let's look at it. I'm going to copy this. Now there's a thing called a web browser. If I put it in here, oh look, it's no longer there. So either I mistyped it, which obviously I never do. Let's check the spelling one more time. HTTP KNUTH.luther.edu tilde David hello world.html. No, I typed it correctly. Alright, well, let's change that to HTTP, since obviously David's not there anymore. It's going to be my... Okay, hold on, I got to bring this down. How do I get this down again so I can edit it? Actually, it does anywhere in it. Cameron wanted me to show you all that. He says I've only showed it 50 times. It's time for me to show it again. Okay, my.rose.edu /faculty /kdewey. Let's try that page. Ooh, no more error. Alright. So what I did was I opened up the URL. So I now currently have a live connection open to my faculty webpage at Rose State. Okay? Does anyone know how long that page will stay open before it times out? What the default value is? It's actually 10 minutes, believe it or not. So it'll actually stay open quite a while. So now, I made a connection to it. Okay? Now I want to read it. So I'm going to say page text equals page.read. So what's read going to do? Read the whole thing. Now if I put a number in there, what would it do? Read so many characters. Exactly. So I'm going to say read. Alright. Now I want to see it. I'm going to say page text. There it is. There's my website. I don't know about you, but that's not very user-friendly. Well, your next program is going to be taking this and make it into a nice table. It's very simple, but that we'll cover that next time. But everybody's okay on how I did that? So I opened up the URL. In other words, I made a connection to Rose State. Then I told it to read in the entire web page into page text. Then I just displayed page text. I'm going to change this read line right here, and I'm going to put in, say, 20. So it should read in 20 characters. There you go, I got 20 characters. Don't look like 20 characters, does it? There's most likely a bunch of white space in there that See, the way the internet works, white space is kind of not shown. So I don't know exactly what's in the page, so I can't tell you. Alright, what if I did read line? Whoops, I can't. I gotta bring that back down here. Read line. I should get one line. Page text, I got one line. Well, you know what? I want to get 2 lines. Still got 2 lines. That's weird. How about 5 lines? Darn it, gotta bring this one down again. Alright. Okay, how about 50 lines? There can't be that much blank space in that page. Seriously? What's in this stupid page? I'm gonna go look what's on my page. Okay. Let's look at the page source. Why isn't it showing me all that? It should be showing me all that. I did put the right URL, didn't I? Hold on, I'm going to make sure we got the right URL in here. Oh, it's shorter now. What did I have in there last time? Well, heck, we're just putting the whole thing back in there. I don't know what's different. Ah! Something wrong. Alright, that Rosa EDU. Oh, I'm missing the HTTP.
You know what's weird? I just put myrose.edu.
Yeah.
And I just did the same thing you did, and it gave me the same exact answer you did, and I got a different URL.
Oh, you know what? They have cascading style sheets on there. I bet that's what it is. It's only giving us certain data. Alright, let's pick a different page.
I just put myrose.edu. That's it.
Alright, we're picking another page. Yeah, we're picking a different page that I know works. I'm putting in this page here, which is the Weather Underground. Okay? It's actually what I plan on using for your next program. It's M for mobile.wnd.com. Okay? And if I put in this, now let's just do 2 lines. See if this one works better. Oh, getting better. Let's do 3 lines. Let's see what's on the next. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit later. What's happening is the Python editor is not showing the HTML commands. That's what it's doing. It's hiding the HTML. So now we know. It's hiding all this stuff, that. So that's what's happening. So let's go with, let's just do read lines. Should get all of it, shouldn't it? Okay, it got all of it. It's just not formatted very nicely. Come on, where are you at? Yeah, see? So what it's doing is it's only showing a portion of it. Because this whole doc type HTML public, it just showed whatever type HTML. So somehow the Python shell is not showing all the stuff. That's kind of weird. Okay. But either way, we got some data to return. Y'all agree with that? You know, we got a whole bunch of data to return, actually. So let's go back to where we're at. Okay. So we can use this to display text of a page. Okay. We can also print it, Oh, that could be why. Hold on. I never even thought about that. Print, page, text. Let's see if that did it correctly. No, same exact thing. Huh, that's weird. Oh well. It's got to be something in the shell that's causing that. But either way, we did get some data from the page. Okay? So we can also do a read line to return one page, or one line, or read lines to get the whole thing. Okay? Alright. Everybody okay with that? So far, so good? How to return the data? Okay. You can also type the encoding. Oh, let's try this. You know what? I didn't even think about that. Let's turn the decoding on. Okay, let's say decoded text equals page text dot decode. Didn't even think about that. UTF-8. Spell something wrong? Page text decode. That should work. Well, that's what he has right here. It should work. Huh, what if it's been... Yeah, but we want to decode it, so that should do it.
With the extra D in there, man?
Oh, at the beginning?
Yeah. Decode.
No, that won't matter. This is our variable name. I could call this whatever I want. Yeah, I could take that D out now, so that still won't affect it. Okay. What it's saying is decode is not part of it. It's got to be that it changed. But there's also an error again here in a minute. I just don't know what the correct... Oh, well, we're gonna skip that part. Sorry, I don't know. I'm not sure of what the correct... Well, let's see if we can find it. Python... Python URL decode. Encoding URL decode UTF-8. Returning an error. Okay. Oh, you got to do the whole thing? Well, that sucks. You got to do it that way now. So we would have to do... What's our URL? It was m.mobileunderground something. Actually, let's just see. It's going to need URL. No, unquote's not even... I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not overly worried about that. So let's move on. But if you need to decode it for the next program, I'll let you know exactly how to decode it. So don't worry about it. Okay. So we can also use a while loop. We've used for loops. We've actually used loops before. Let's talk about a couple of different loops. We got a for loop. How many times does a for loop execute or run? How many times you tell it to? I mean, for the length of the file or whatever the range is. Okay? Then we have a while loop and also a do while loop. A while loop, okay, says while something is true, do something. Okay? So and a do while loop is the exact... Do says do this while this is true. Okay? So a while loop is what's called a preprocessor loop. While something is true, do something. A do while does something and then checks the condition. Okay? It evaluates a Boolean expression. Okay? We've talked about that before. Okay? You can actually use it for a web page to continue while you're inside of a header loop. And that's exactly what they're going to show us here in a second. Okay? I think. Okay? They can continue while you're on the page. Okay. Let's go on to the next file. Alright. So, we import URL request. Here they're actually counting the length of a header. I'm not going to type all this in since we know the decoder does not work. But what he's saying is he's counting the header. And while head not in line, so he's basically saying while the header is not part of the results, okay, he's decoding the page, okay? and while you're not at the tail, so while you're still in the page. So he's just decoding it, but again, we know that doesn't work. But it will tell you how many lines are inside the header, because he's starting at head right here. He's continuing to head here. Okay, so he's really figuring out how many lines are in the header. Okay, nothing overly special there. Okay. All right, this is, let's go on down. Stock market data. Okay, I don't think this URL will work. I'm going to try it real quick, but I don't think it will. It might, but I think it had weird results. So I'm going to go URL1 equals URL lib.request.URL open. He has HTTP ichart.yahoo.com/table.csv question mark s equals tgt and quote. Okay. I don't know if this one works. Data equals URL1.readlines. I should read the whole thing. I think this is where the error comes in. Yeah, it kind of, oh, it actually finished. Wow. Okay, it did work now. Because earlier that wasn't finishing. It was taking forever. So what did I tell it right here, right on this line right there? Does anyone know what I told it? Read what?
Read the lines.
How many?
9.
It's actually right. But it starts at 0. So it's reading 10 lines, 0 to 9. Okay. Because it labels them that way. Okay, so it really did read them all. And they're all right here. Alright, so we got our data. So they actually got it working. Because earlier it wasn't working. It kept locking up on me. It kept crashing my Python. So, alright. Here he's just showing you the way a URL works. I'm going to zoom in since it's a little small and I'll kind of explain it to you. Okay, HTTP is obviously the protocol, Hypertext Transport Protocol. You always need : //. Nowadays you do not have to specify HTTP, but in Python you need to. In your web browser, it defaults. It's like, oh, I know you're going to a web page, so you don't need to specify. But in Python you have to. The first portion of it is a host name. Actually, this is the domain it's connecting to, right there. And then this is the host on that domain. Okay? So when you see www.google.com, what part's the domain? Well, it's actually google.com. The www is actually the host on Google. So they have a DNS record for a web server pointing to www, which goes to a specific IP address. Okay? Now, so on that domain or that host, they have a file called table.csv. Then that takes some parameters, you know, probably a search parameter or something. So that's what they hard code to it. Okay, so it's pretty easy to read a URL. Okay. I lost where I was at. That's a little big anyway. You need to fit on the screen here. Hold on. Still too big. Alright. So we read that. We've learned about the components of it. We can collect the data. Now they actually go into a correlation coefficient. I don't care about that. But if you get the data in, you can do something with it. Okay? And if you look back at what we got in, think we could use something to break that apart? Sure. We could split based on commas, which looks good to me actually. How would we do that? Why don't we, yeah, let's do that. I want to take this data. So what was it called? Page something? Page data or something? It was called data. So if I type data, obviously there's my data. How could I tell it to break it apart based on commas? Any idea? Okay, what now? Okay, data.split, but I need to put it somewhere. Because data.split, we'll break it apart based on this. But if I just do data.split, actually, it might show it on the screen. Yeah, you got to tell it to go somewhere. We need something in front of this. What? Well, we need a variable to store it in. Because remember, split actually creates a list. So I'm going to say my list, or so I'll do my data, equals that. Okay? What? Data's a line, isn't it? That should work. Why doesn't that work? Come on. Data's a line. Oh, is data a URL? What do we define data as? Data is actually the results of a page, wasn't it? Hold on, let me go up here for a minute. Yeah, it was a bunch of lines on the page. So I'm thinking how I could fix that. Saying is data doesn't incorporate that. So what if I did my string equals, okay, now I should be able to do my data equals my string dot split. Okay, there. What it was, data was actually the results of a URL. So it wasn't really a string, it was a collection of lines. So I needed to convert it to a string before I could do anything with it. So I converted it to a string, then I split it. Now, how the heck can I view it? Y'all have to do this for this current program. Any idea how we could view what's in my data? Because if I just type my data, if I can TA, it looks just like the page, but my data is actually a list now. Okay? So how can I view the individual elements of a list? Someone's got to know. My data. We still got to use my data. No, we don't. It's already a list. My data is a list. That's. What if we did this? That showed the first element in the list. Then if I did, shows the next. Oh, how many's in there? It's not 15, obviously. How about 10? Okay, there's 10 of them in there. Okay. Actually, oh, you know what? What did I say we were going to split it on? Commas. But did I do that?
No.
Oh, I split it on, where did I split it? What did I split it on? On spaces. Very good. So how do I fix it? I need to do commas. Put something in there? Like that maybe? Now let's look. Let's do my data. We'll do 15 this time. Whoops. Nice. Now it's actually working. Could I do 16? Yeah. So it's working. Now we're getting the different values. But what if I want to output them all on the screen? I want to make a loop, a for loop, to output all those. For I in my data. You can't. You can actually do that with lists because the list has a finite size. You don't have to even specify the length. Then I could do print my data. What goes in here? I. Okay. List indices must be integer, not string. Well, how about if I just did this? Hold on, let me bring this back down here. There's a problem with what I did. Okay. Let me explain why. When I said for I in my data, that means for each element in my data. It's not actually using index numbers. So it's actually returning the values. So if I actually edit this right here, I get them all. You understand what I did there? Man, there's a lot. Okay, so what I did is for I in my data, that says for each element in the list, my data, print the element. Now what if I wanted to say something, okay, I want to make it so that these are right justified at 20 spaces. Anybody remember that? What? Anyone have any clue?
Percent sign.
Percent sign. Okay, we're making progress.
Step one.
We need a percent sign. And I'll put the other percent sign. Move that over for now. What else needs to go in here? I want it justified for 20 spaces. Right justified.
That's not the 1 point. No.
It's 20. It's something before the 20. It's not a slash. There's an S now, so we're making progress. I'm going to finish this part for you. You have to put it in parentheses. Let's see what we get. It's right justified. It worked. Y'all see how it's right justified to 20? Now I want to see it left justified to 20. What do I do? Anyone remember how to left justify? A minus. Very good. A dash or a minus. Same thing. Left justify. So everybody know how to left and right justify now? Based on different lists? Okay. What if I wanted to say data colon and then that stuff after it? How could I edit that? For each line, I want to say data colon space and that stuff. What could I do? I can actually go inside the string here and say data colon. That's it. That's all I gotta do. Whoops, don't hit enter in there. Go to the end of the line. Data colon. Easy enough. Okay. So that is all the chart data that came from wherever page we ran this from. Yahoo charts or something.
So you could use that for the program we're going to do for 4 and 5. You could put something in.
You need to use some of this. You do. That's why I made this do that, so you guys remembered how to. This is called a format specifier. Basically, the percent %S. Let me bring it back down. Hold on. The percent %S right here. It's called the format specifier. S is for string. Okay. The 20 is the field width. So we want to output a string 20 long or wide. The minus is left justified. So how do we do right justified? No. Actually, yes and no. You're only half right, though. I don't know why. Okay. Certain things automatically left justify. Certain things automatically right justify. To force a right justification, you put in a plus. Okay. Because numbers will automatically left justify. That's why you need that, or else you can be like, why are my numbers not lined up? That's why. Okay. So left is minus, right is plus. For certain things, the default might already be that, but obviously I picked one that wasn't, so you guys would have to manipulate it. So, all right, let's continue on. Okay. So he's just doing some correlation. I'm not going to walk through all his code here, but he's getting in the list and he's doing a bunch of stuff with it. Okay. Again, here he's opening a different URL. He's reading the lines, And this data here, he's outputting the first 10 portions in the list. Because remember, T data is actually a list. Okay. Alright. List comprehension. You can here he's actually nesting loops together for item in sequence and item in sequence. So he's got a list inside of a list. Okay. Let's see what else he's got. Here he's duplicating items. Okay, for X and range 1 to 11. Let's see if there's something new we need to cover. I just don't like walking through all these. It'll take too long. Oh, here's something. Right here. What's that do right there? That if X% 2 is equal to 0. He gives me the remainder. So what is he specifically doing here?
Checking to see if it's even.
Checking if it's even or odd. Exactly. Because if something percent 2 or modulus 2 gives you a 0, it's an even number. Think about it. 4, 2 divided into 4, remainder 0. 2 divided into anything, if it gives you a 0, is an even number. If it gives you any remainder, or a 1, it would be an odd number. So what if I wanted to find out if something was divisible by 3? Mod 3. What if I wanted to find out what day of the week it was? Mods 1 through 7. So that's actually, when I first started programming years ago, I wrote a program called Leaves for the military. When we went on vacation, they went on leave. Well, they used to keep track of it on paper, which gets to be a pain in the butt. But the big issue was whenever we had a recall, they'd say, all right, in 30 minutes we need to know where every person is. That's where you call everybody and tell them to come to work, whatever. But the issue was, what if they were on vacation? Then they had to go through all the files. First of all, the secretary had to get there at 2 in the morning. Then she had to go through all the files and figure out who was on leave. Well, I wrote a program to manage all that for them. The military was weird. Basically, you get 30 days off a year. I don't know if it's still the same. I'm assuming it is. Okay, you get 30 days off a year. So if you take off Monday through Sunday, how many days leave do you just take? Took 7. But if your leave starts on a Saturday, you only have to count Sunday. You don't have to count Saturday. But if it starts on a Sunday, you got to count Sunday. Okay, see, there's a big deal. If it starts on a Saturday, you only have to count 1 day for the weekend. But if it starts on a Sunday, you got to count Sunday and the days of the week. So it's kind of weird. But if your leave encompasses the entire weekend, well, then you count the whole thing. But there's some math behind it. And I needed to determine if the day they went on leave was a Sunday. So I used modulus 7. So there's actually real world uses for this stuff. So let's say, basically I wrote that program. They come in the office and hit a button, dip, print out a little report, who's on leave, when they're coming back, where they're at, everything. So.
But for like a triangle, it would have said, I'm not, like for a 3, it would have said, even triangle equals 3, 0.
Right, you could do that. Yes, you could. Yep. All right. So they're opening up another URL here. He's reading in the data. He's splitting it based on commas, kind of like we just did. Okay. Then he's outputting the results. Okay. Just about done with it. I think that's actually the end of it. Okay. So again, I didn't walk through everything, but I think we did an example of at least each item. Okay. So chapter 5, the program you got to work on now, it includes the split, it includes the format specifier, does not include the open URL yet, but we will be doing that. The reason for that, see, I can make you write a stupid program to tell me how many times A is in a file. When you write something that actually reads live data, like when I used to run an ISP at my house. I had a whole bunch of servers back in my shed. I had a thermometer, internet-based thermometer on there. I used to have students actually write a program that would pull the data off the thermometer and draw me a chart. It was kind of nice because in the summertime you could see the temperature was rising because the air conditioner was off. Then the temperature would drop because the air conditioner would come on. Then the temperature would rise again, till it got to a certain level, then it would drop again. So it was like this, roller coaster. And I actually did it myself initially to determine, what, how much money I was wasting on air conditioning, which sucked. I mean, hated it summer times. Thing ran pretty much all the time. But it's cool working with live data. So that data we worked with is live right off of Yahoo right now. So, all right. So that's the end of Chapter 5. Remember, you have until Tuesday for the program. All right.